Idaho.
Idaho, that's right. You keep saying that because it's cold there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
We
yeah. And it hasn't been until this week. It dumped like a foot of snow on us, man. I almost couldn't get here to the office today.
I'm so glad we left. We live in Memphis, and I left Memphis yesterday. No, over the weekend to get away. We got like 9 inches of snow right now in Memphis, which is everything's just stone cold stopped. It's over.
Memphis. That is not Memphis behind you. I see the ocean, my
This
friend.
is not Memphis. Yeah, this is not a virtual background. We decided to go south and enjoy a little bit of warm weather while we could.
I can tell you that's not a virtual background because
the waves don't loop.
I hate virtual backgrounds, man. I think they're so pointless. Anyways, just personal opinion, my very opinionated opinion.
So, Josh, welcome to
Thanks,
the live show here. So, dude, okay, Josh is with us today. Josh and I met a few weeks ago. I guess we talked over a month or two now. I don't know, but Josh has the most unique way of podcasting, and not just. I mean, he gets on a lot of podcasts. He's featured on a lot of shows, but he also features some insanely cool people on his show. And Josh is the only person I know who monetizes a podcast the way he does. And I'm not going to get into all that. That's Josh's job, not mine. You guys get a chance to ask questions for Josh. He's not cheap to get on a call. This is your chance. Ask him your questions. We got 30 minutes or so here, so fire away. Josh, welcome.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. I mean, this is fun. I do love doing lives like this because it allows people to ask questions. I mean, if you've ever used like Clubhouse, I mean, that's kind of the beauty of things like this, right? It gives us the opportunity to get feedback on what we're doing. So if you do have questions specifically about your podcast, I'm happy to open the door on anything. It's free. It's free reign here. But I do want to kind of preface this by saying our entire brand, everything that we've done is focused around helping people to monetize their podcast without using sponsorship. Because there's 2 questions I get asked whenever anybody comes into our world. They're like, okay, Josh, I'm a coach. I'm an agency. I have some sort of B2B service brand. And the very first question I get is, where should I build my website? Who should I build my website? First off, you don't need one. I'm just going to tell you right now.
I so agree with that. So
we literally made our first, what was it? $150,000 before I even had a website out. And people think they have to spend all this time and money building websites, funnels, all this stuff. But the second question I get, and this is the more common one for us, is where should I get sponsorship? So I'm going to be very blunt and opinionated here. So if you disagree, I'm sorry, but I think sponsorship is the fastest way to kill your podcast and kill your audience.
Interesting.
The reason why, we're in a world where you have to pay to remove commercials, right? Mm-hmm. YouTube does it, Hulu does it, all these other places do it, right? You have to pay in order to pull the commercials off the platform. With a podcast, they don't have that option. Some people would. And I think if somebody built a platform that was that way, they could remove the podcast. I think it'd be a great business model, just saying. If you've got the software ability, that'd be a great one. I'd pay for it. So the reason why the sponsorship, it really kills your podcast is because what happens is they'll try to lure you in. They'll say, hey, I'll pay you $5,000 if you'll, promote me 3 times throughout your episodes, through every episode on a daily podcast. Mm-hmm. The number one problem with that is it interrupts your flow. It interrupts the flow of your guests. And then what happens is your audience will automatically lose trust with you because you're interrupting their thought process, right? Most people are consuming podcasts while they're driving, working out, or doing something else. They're not interested in your your promotions, right? They know at the end of your podcast, especially if you're an interview style podcast, they know that at the end of it, they're going to get a pitch. And that's the one they're looking forward to because they've been sitting there listening to you talk to an expert, or maybe you're riffing yourself. Mm-hmm. So I want people to think about that when they're trying to monetize a podcast. So that's the first thing. I mean, I can't remember what the numbers are. It's like $32 per 1,000 views right now if you'll do 3 commercials. If you do a pre-roll, mid-roll, and post-roll commercial, you can charge $32 per 1,000 listeners. Now, I just want you to think about that.
That's insane numbers because that's impossible to make a living off that. Keep going. Like, I'm just doing the math. Like, what the heck?
And that's per episode, right? So let's say you got to where you had 1,000 people listening, right? I'm really terrible at math, but I think that's like right around $900 a month is what you could charge if you were having 1,000 downloads per episode. The amount of work, and if you've ever done podcasting, getting past your first 100 is really hard. It took me a year to pass my first 100 downloads per episode because for us, our model is to not focus on the listenership, right? What I feel like listenership is a result of providing great value and providing a great experience for your guests. If that happens, the listenership just grows. We hit a top 50 podcast when we only had, so we were top 50 in multiple countries in the marketing and entrepreneurship category we only had like 150 to 200 downloads at the time per episode. People are like, well, then how the heck are you top 50, right? Because a lot of these top 50s are getting like 50,000 downloads per episode. And it's because we decided to shift the focus. We said, okay, how else could we make money? Because if I had to do all this work, build out these commercials, make it really hard for my editing team to edit our podcast and do all these things, if I had a sponsor, why don't I just shift my focus and say, could I get one client to pay me $1,000 and keep my podcast really clean, really slick, and a great experience for my guest? Because if you've ever been a guest on a podcast that has a bunch of sponsors, it's really annoying.
It is.
It interrupts your flow because like, okay, wait, pause now. I got to do my commercial. And you're like, you derailed my train. You killed the energy of the interview. The best people will chop it up afterwards. But even some of these great podcasters are, they're like in the middle of your sentence. They're like, okay, hey, like we have a message from our sponsor, blah, blah, blah. It just kills me. It murders my flow. So, as the guest, right?
No, Josh, that brings up a good point. One of our sponsors today is this editing software.
Oh gosh. No.
That's the way it is.
Oh,
they're like listening for the segue. Where is he gonna? He's gonna drop it in there.
Yeah, is it gonna stop for a second?
And it's so cool. Patagonia.com. Patagonia sponsoring today. What are you doing?
No joke. Especially in business podcasts, they're like, go check out this random thing. You're like, really? The funny ones to me are like coffee. You're like, let's feed your coffee addiction right in the middle of the podcast episode. Anyways, yeah. So I'm glad you're on the same page, Chris, because the big thing is that most people get into podcasting because they want to build a brand. But what people don't understand is that it is the most highly monetizable asset you'll ever build. And it's because it's a multifaceted content machine. We use the podcast literally, it's the foundation of all of our marketing. And the reason why isn't because we're focusing on listenership. So what we do, number one, we bring on amazing guests. If you can bring in an amazing guest onto your show, which believe it or not is not very hard, and I'll tell a story around this one in a second, but we bring on amazing guests. We typically close anywhere from, if we do 10 podcasts, we'll close anywhere from 2 to 3 of those people on our products and services from the guests. Because they'll always ask you, so what is it you do? Like, how do you monetize? How's your business? And you're like, oh, like this is what we do. I have a coaching.
Okay, so you got to repeat what you just said, because I don't think people caught what you just said, because that is the novelty of what you do. I've never heard anybody do that except you, and this is really cool. So,
again,
you're not closing the listeners, you're closing the guests on your show.
The reason why is because it's a one-to-one interaction, right?
Brilliant.
Let me illustrate this with a story, though. So a few years ago, I was in college and I started a marketing agency doing Facebook ads. I got to where it bought me out of college. I graduated and I was making enough that I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to get a job. I'm just going to run on this income. But then the next year was hell, man. It was awful. It was getting clients, losing clients, getting clients, losing clients. And I remember I got a call from our last big client. And I was just like, you just know the call, right? Like, hey, we need to talk. It's like the girlfriend when she says that, you're like, oh no. Whenever my wife says that, I'm like, oh boy, what'd I do?
What'd I do?
So it's when they gave me that call. I mean, you already know that they're going to drop us. And it was really interesting because they said, Josh, you've booked us out with leads for the next 2 years. We're good. They were good because
your job too good and you're getting fired.
Yeah. And that was the moment when I realized I'm like, I am doing something severely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's something ridiculous that if I overperform, I'm still losing my clients. It's kind of funny to look back on that because my biggest client was a $3,000 client a month, right? And I remember that was just like life changing.
You're about losing, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, there goes like $3,000 a month, right? But it was really interesting because I had actually prepaid for a mastermind that I got to go to months before this, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to close my doors. I'm so sick of this business. So I went to the mastermind. And I had this guy lean over to me, really successful guy. His name's Michael Maitland, if you want to check him out. He leans over to me and he's like, how's business, man? I'm like, well, I'm pretty much done. I'm like so sick of this. And he goes, like, why? And I'm like, well, I'm just having a hard time keeping clients in the door. And so he asked me, he's like, well, what do you want to do in the online space? Because I had been in the space for 2 or 3 years at this point. And he said, I just told him, I'm like, I love listening to podcasts. And if I could have my own podcast, I'd love it. And he goes, well, then do it. He's like, your number one problem is you don't have an audience. Build an audience. So I said, okay, I'm gonna build a podcast. Previous to this, being a Facebook ads agency, getting in the door with any business was a nightmare, man. Cold calling, 300 emails or whatever to get one appointment. It was somebody really underqualified and had no money. And it was just this constant battle, right? We all know it. If you've been an agency, you've done it. Yep. It's a really big slog. But what was crazy, I went to my LinkedIn because that was the one platform I had been kind of building out because I enjoyed LinkedIn. And I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I'm just going to shoot for the stars. I'm going to reach for the wealthiest person I'm connected with and see what they want, right? So I connected this guy. His name's Josh Steinley. He's built like a $10 million marketing agency, content agency. And I'm like, hey, you want to come on my show? And within 5 minutes, he goes, yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm like, are you kidding me?
And you'd have never gotten on a sales call with the guy. No chance.
No chance whatsoever. Yeah. So I bring him onto the podcast. And at the end of it, this is where everything changed for me. He literally, he's like, we finish up. He's like, so Josh, what do you do? And I was like, I don't really know right now. So I closed the doors of the Facebook ads agency. I'm like, I'm done with that crap. I'm going to start something new. And it was really funny to watch that we had.
By the way, Rachel Gogo says hi.
Oh, hey, Rachel.
So cool.
Rachel's awesome. So we had, but he's like, well, what do you do? And I actually just was completely brutally honest. I'm like, honestly, right now, I know a lot about marketing, but I'm so sick of this area of it. And he's like, well, why don't you sell people on how to do podcasting? And I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm good at that yet. So this was a long time ago. But he's like, well, hey, here's the thing. You're really cool. I'd love to work with you. Let's find a way to work together. I've never had that happen, right? So we ended up building, him and I, we built a mastermind out. And that was where we started making our first like $10,000 sales. And before that would have been absurd. I would never have asked that much money for anything as an ad agency, right? So we're getting $10,000 sales, filled up this mastermind, and anyways, everything started to grow. But the craziest thing happened within 3 weeks of starting my podcast. I interviewed my first billionaire, and I was like, "What on earth?" I did not realize. I mean, I still was a nobody. Nobody knew who I was. I literally probably had $500 to my name, and a billionaire was sitting down and telling me how cool I was. So I want to tell that story because what's really interesting that people don't realize, and if you're a podcaster, you get it, right? But a lot of podcasters aren't leveraging it right. They look at it and they say, oh, how can I sell to my guest, right? Our goal is to say, how do you collaborate with your guest? You sell through them, not to them, right? Sell to their audience. So what we've seen is the fastest way to monetize is to say, hey, this is what I do. I'd love to come share it with your audience. Literally, I'm not even lying with this. 3 to 4 people will typically say to you, they're like, well, I'd love to share with my audience, but can we talk about you doing that for me?
Oh my gosh.
It's just absurd. And it goes from you having to beg for sales to people saying, well, hey, I need that, right? Yeah. Because you're providing a good product or service. So the beautiful thing about it is that's just the first layer of monetization. We have like 3 or 4 other things that we do to immediately monetize the podcast. None of them require sponsorship. None of them require being a good salesperson, right? Because I'm not being a good salesperson. It's the person getting on the call saying, Josh, what do you do? And I just give them the answer.
Yeah, totally. They're selling themselves. That is so freaking brilliant because it's just brilliant on so many levels. As we all know, prospecting is one of the hardest things as entrepreneurs we do. It's the brain crushing, soul freezing work. I mean, what I feel like you're dropping your heart out in like Frozen 1 movie where it's really cold up in Elsa's castle. Is it Elsa? Which one's the cold one? Yeah. It's like freezing your heart. Oh my gosh. But you're right. Podcasting. I used to have a podcast called I Share Hope. I have done 4 or 5 years where I interviewed a bunch of people on the concept or the conversation on hope. I was in a really dark place, healing from a lot of stuff, and like heads of state, Olympians, best-selling authors, world-class everythings from all over the world said yes to joining Elsa. Yay! It said yes. Thank you, Karina.
Somebody's got to know.
Karina in Alaska knows who Elsa is because she would. the coolest people ever jumped on that podcast. And I never once thought about the value of those. This is sad. The value of those relationships. Right. I mean, I had the person who headed up the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation on there.
Wow. Yeah.
Talk about, I had presidents on there. Talk about like where to go next. Never freaking crossed my mind. I was trying to get people who were listeners to be impressed with who I got on my show.
Right. And so, I want to grow my listenership because that will result in people getting on my email list and all this. It doesn't really translate that way. What we found a podcast, your listenership, they aren't new people coming into your world. If you're trying to build an audience, that's the wrong place to look. What we use the podcast for is to cultivate our existing audience, the people who are on your email lists, in your groups, following you on social media. You bring them into your podcast, get them addicted to your podcast as a way to cultivate them, help them, kind of lead them through the buyer journey, or just solve their problems, whether they're going to buy from you or not. Right. And that's, I think, like you're saying, a lot of people, especially in the podcast realm, once you get into it, you're like, oh, I can get in the door with high level people, but they let it just die right there. Or this is the other thing that happens. They spam the crap out of their guests. I cannot tell you how annoying it is for me when I go onto a podcast and they put me onto their marketing list. I'm like, I did not opt in for that. Like, I don't want you to market to me. And it immediately kills my trust with that person.
Interesting. That happens to, this is going to sound horrible because a lot of people who are in our Facebook group, I've been on their shows too. When that happens to me, love all of you. When that happens to me, I don't check my email, first of all. But Kimberly on my team, who manages all of our communication, she just unsubscribes or blocks. We never spam anybody because we don't want to hurt anybody's mailing list.
Yeah, you don't want to kill their list.
But it is shocking to me how many people put me on their mailing list knowing I'm not their market.
Right.
I'm just their guest. Yeah. And it doesn't make sense. It like makes a disconnect to me and makes me think that person doesn't know what they're doing.
Right. And that's the truth of it. And the sad part is you're burning bridges with some of the most influential people when you could have just leveraged the relationship when they've already learned to know, like, and trust you. You've been poking their status button, letting them brag on your podcast for 20 minutes to an hour. And so they feel really cool. Leverage that time, right? They think you're cool. You think they're cool. There's obviously a relationship that can be built there. We boast 100% conversion rate because no matter who comes on our show, we end up either partnering with them, they buy from us, or we sell to their audience. That's what we do. And,
so brilliant.
But that's the thing, is it's not being that cool of a person, right? It has everything to do with just being a regular human being and taking advantage of the moments that you have, right? You don't have to be a good salesperson, just be a good friend.
So they buy from you, you sell to their audience, or you partner in some way. Yep. Those are the three ways you can leverage that relationship. And by the way, when we say leverage relationship, Josh, for anybody who's listening to that and like icky, that's not an icky thing. It's not.
Right.
No.
People look at it because they're like, well, are you using people? And I always tell people, like, just go listen to one of the conversations. It's the most natural conversation you're ever going to have. And what people don't realize, and this is especially in our space, Chris, right? Like we're in the kind of biz ops space. We're helping people who are businesses helping businesses. And what everybody tries to do is they try to hop to the very bottom of the ladder because they know those people will buy things. They're like, hey, let's either get you to start a business, or right when you've started a business, let me sell you something. The number one problem there is there are hundreds of thousands of products and services that could help them get to level 2. The problem is people don't realize that these people that are very wealthy have problems that you can solve because you have one asset they don't have, and it's your time. These are the people, I mean, when you talk to a billionaire, they will lay it out on the table. Like, here are the few issues I have. This is what we're looking for. Who do you know who can help? And you're like, hey, this is where my product fits. I also know somebody over here who I affiliate with. Their product fits there, their service or what have you. They'll pay you to just take it off their plate. And that's how you start charging these much larger prices. I mean, it almost makes me uncomfortable sometimes when we'll pitch a price because I'm like, I just still struggle with that sometimes. You're like, man, our service is actually worth a 6-figure retainer. Yeah. And these people are like, yes, please, take it off my plate. I'd pay you $300,000 retainer. And that's when you're like, freak, I should have charged more.
That's so, Josh, first of all, thanks for bringing that concept up, because we talk a lot about high ticket sales in this Facebook group because most people are charging far too little, and they've heard they've been on tons of coaching calls, sales pitch calls, whatever. And somebody always says, oh my gosh, you're charging too little. Let me show you how to charge more. I get that. Yes, you need to charge more. But the mindset behind how to charge more is so important. And people think through, would I, in my infantile marketing agency, coaching agency, whatever structure, would I freak out at 10,000, 100,000, 50,000 for this fee? Yeah, you might, because that might be more than you made last year if you're just starting out.
Right.
But don't judge someone else's buying habits and desire for what you've got based on your budget. That's not it. It's not it at all. You gotta base it on the pain that they're experiencing, or the transformation you're going to bring them, or if you've solved the little problem they got for the next 12 months, how much difference would it make in their life? And the more someone makes, Josh, you said it a second ago, and you're so right. The more someone makes, the more they're willing to pay for time. It's all about time. And that is what most of us solve, and we don't realize we solve it. We think we're building a great website. No, you're saving someone else from having to build a website. Rachel Gogos is a great example here. She's an amazing brander. She's saving someone else from having to go through the pain of really thinking about their branding and doing the hard crunch work. Rachel's team does it. That's brilliant. Because who's got time for that, right?
Right. And that's what people don't think about, right? Is they're saying, okay, let me solve a problem for these people. And I think the big fear is that, well, what if they say that's too much money? If you ever hear that it's too much money, you're marketing to the wrong person, because whatever you're selling is worth an infinite amount of money to the right person. And if that's the case, use Chris's method, use the podcast method, use something to get in the door with much more qualified people, because they're not going to, freak out about the price, right? Chris and I mean, he's done this with us. Even we were in a situation where we're like, I had just made some big investments right before he had us come into the group, but he's like, hey, you know what? Let's work it out, right? Let's just find a way that we can work this out together, get it into where, I can afford it. He can afford to work with me, right? And you can work with people, but you're also creating a lot of trust with these people because they're in the right place. If you meet with the right person, they understand that no matter what they pay you, it's going to pay out. Mm-hmm. I mean, like Chris's program, right? I don't even want to reveal prices. I don't know if everybody knows, right? But when you're buying from Chris,
do I owe you anything for this, Josh? Now you're selling my program, dude.
I'm going to sell it day in and day out because it was the most simple program I've ever joined. So the craziest thing about it, though, right, is it's like, okay, if Chris, let's just say his program is $25,000, but if I'm selling a program that's 10, I only have to close 3 deals with his system to make it pay for itself. And I got a great education, joined a great group of people. I mean, what more do you need, right? My secondary form of selling for most people, if you want to just know how I actually sell, is every time I have a group coaching program I join, I try to get on every call personally and message every single person in the group. I did it to you. I did it to your group, Chris, because it's like,
great point.
Whether we can work together or not, I know they've got money, I've got money, and we both solve big problems. So there's either a partnership there, or I'll buy their product, they'll buy my product. I know there's some way that we can connect and see some big magic happen. So
it's a brilliant strategy. It's so simple. You're just building relationships, like poof.
It's like people think they have to be so fancy with their marketing. It's like, this is literally just networking on a much faster, higher level scale. It's like, let's get you in the door with the right people. Because my big beef, right? I've always believed in networking. I've loved LinkedIn since I was, whenever it started. I can't remember when I started. I was probably 17 years old when I got on LinkedIn. The problem with traditional marketing is you got on LinkedIn when you were 17? Yep, dead serious.
You're such a freaking geek. Oh my gosh. Let me make fun of you forever for that.
And I wasn't even doing it for jobs. I'm like, hey, there's cool people on here, right?
I'm going to go on LinkedIn. I'm a junior high school.
Yeah. I was probably one of their first users, no joke.
Hey, Dad, can I borrow your tie?
Yeah.
For LinkedIn.
I don't want to take a selfie.
You were saying something important.
You're good. But the funny thing, though, is like the traditional form of networking has gotten so icky, right? Because the number one problem is with networking is it's all of people are like, well, you need to provide value, or they're the other way around where they're just like take. I believe there's like a completely viable middle ground. The problem with networking is you're getting in the rooms with the wrong people. If you're trying to sell real estate, going to a BNI group, no offense to them, right? they're just other business people who want to hawk their cards at you, right? And there are some great BNI groups, but like nobody's going to win from that, right?
Mm-hmm.
What they should be doing is if you're a real estate agent, I'm just going to throw this out there for you. Great method. We helped a client do this and they were very, very successful with it. You go to those BNI groups and then you say, how can we create a joint venture partnership to where we're both consistently winning from this relationship? So they add each other to each other's email lists. So for example, like the real estate agent emails the financial advisor's list, the financial advisor emails the real estate agent's list, and they just cross promote. One little cross promotion like that, they're going to close 2 or 3 deals. Yeah, instead of, hey, if you ever think of somebody who needs a real estate agent, I'm here, right? Mm-hmm. That's the thing. I think people just overcomplicate it. The reason why, especially in the online space, people are trying to hide behind social media and automation. I'm like, get out there, get in front of people. Even if you're terrified of it, build a podcast. It's the greatest way. If you don't even want to post the video, nobody will ever see your face, because people who are scared to be on camera are not scared to talk one-to-one to somebody. Yeah. I am an introvert. I hate being on camera. This kind of stuff makes me so uncomfortable, but I know if I don't share it with people, they're not going to get it. And the beautiful thing is, Chris, it just feels like you and I are talking, right?
I know.
We're having a one-to-one conversation.
I love that. And folks, you got to be real and just be yourself. I mean, I'm sitting here. We're obviously not at home right now in my normal studio setting, but you don't have to have a fancy setup like Josh is sitting in right now. I mean, my computer is sitting on the master bed in this house we've rented at the beach. How hard is this, right? It's not that big a deal, guys. It's relationships. And there's a lot of, for instance, Josh and I we're swapping interviews.
Right.
Super easy. In fact, when I do, let's do this, Josh, when I am on your show, I'll drop the links in here and I'll drop them in the context of this conversation as well, because swapping interviews, folks, you all have something valuable to add. So find podcasters, interviewers, people with other Facebook groups, whatever, and just swap interviews. It's super great.
And just so you know, like there are people with hundreds of thousands of people in their audience who are willing to do that for you because they need the exposure too. And that's how they've grown their audience. It's just, I think people wait, like we've talked about, they're overcomplicating it. This studio setup is pretty nice, right? But people don't realize, like, I'm using the Blue Yeti right now. I'm not even using like a super nice mic by any means. And a lot of people are spending way too much time like, okay, I've got to have a website. I've got to have amazing gear. I mean, this isn't even a real wood background, guys. Like, this is a freaking curtain nailed to the wall. Like, that's what it is. And everybody like way overcomplicates it. We have people in our group. I've worked with a guy. He sold $150,000 in retainers in 6 weeks with his phone. He was literally recording the episode on his phone, talking to these people. They ended up wanting he used our method, right, to interview them. They asked him what he did. He ended up closing some very high ticket retainers. All he was doing was using his phone and Anchor.fm, which is a free app if you want to start your own podcast.
So
you can make it a lot better. You can increase the production, everything, but it's not even necessary to close your first $1 million to have these things. Just as business people, I think we're just really geeky and nerdy about the tech. So I think for me, I get really into the studio setup personally.
and for me, and you're right, Rachel, we've become BFFs in such a short time. Rachel's the one who made this happen, right?
Rachel, thank you so much for watching.
Rachel's connected our friendship. Yeah, thanks, Rachel.
You are the glue, Rachel.
Rachel's another great example of this whole relationship thing. Rachel and I've hung out a few times on Zoom calls, and now Rachel and I send folks back. Like, I talk to someone, like, they need branding, they go to Rachel. Like, it's just relationship, folks. Jump on calls with people.
Yep. And I know we've already hard promoted her, but seriously, like, if you want to rock solid your brand, go hire Rachel. I mean, she's so good at it. Just
this
to give
podcast
you
is sponsored by Rachel. I just want to let you know.
Oh man, yeah, straight up. And
Rachel, we love you. We really do.
I literally handed her my aunt and uncle's company. So as a client, that's how much I trust this lady. So
nice. Yeah, she's legit. She's the real thing.
So if she messes it up, she's in big trouble. And
the family.
Oh, boy.
I was going to say one more thing, Josh. Well, first of all, I'm going to drop your website right down here.
Appreciate that, man.
And so Josh has this really cool community. In fact, let me just drop it in here before I lose it real quick. Josh, talk us about your tribe, because I think this is the coolest, smartest idea. If you want to learn how to do what we're talking about, Josh has a really simple way to do it.
Yeah, the thing is, everybody, it's like what we're teaching. I'm just like Chris. My goal is like, let's just make it simple. We have a community we built to match podcasters with guests. And there's thousands of people in there who either own podcasts or they want to guest on podcasts. If you want to start your own podcast, use this method, get on with a lot of high ticket people, go join that. It's a free community. Our team will actually connect you with 4 or 5 people right off the bat to either get you on podcasts or get people onto your podcast. Let us know, message me personally, and I'll have our team just go through and connect you with people.
I mean, that's really cool right there. That really is. Like, that whole concept of just getting in that community and getting that started, that's the way to go, folks. It really is. Like, it's so simple. Again, don't overthink this. When I started my own podcast 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it was freaking hard. It's so easy now.
Yeah.
It's so freaking easy. It's like
5 years ago, joke.
Say what?
5 years ago, it was a joke. It was so hard to get everything in place, man.
Yeah. It's all templatized now. So just lean into Josh's community, make it easy. Okay. Josh, I've got you tagged up there in the top of this interview. Anybody got any last questions for Josh? If you do, fire away. And then hit Josh's website there. His community is super easy and quick to jump into. But here's the bottom line, folks, as you're doing this. Build relationships. Build relationships with people. Karina says she's on it. She's already on your website. Way to go, Karina. That's the way to go.
You rock, Karina. I'll see you there.
Karina's a tool board certified physician.
Wow.
She works crazy cool stuff with the kids and parents that she takes care of, but she also has this amazing brand helping women in medicine deal with the stress of not just being in medicine, but having all the responsibilities that women take on in our society that are just kind of over the top. I mean, they do so much more than most of us guys, and they hold a lot of stress, and society's not been fair in every twist and turn in our history. And Karina, like, she is just supporting the most amazing community out there. Anyway.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. Bottom line, folks, it's relationships. Josh and I met a month ago, 6 weeks ago, I don't know. And here we are sharing podcasts. Here we are doing stuff together. It's so easy to build relationships. Get out there, reach out, whatever platform you're on, invite people to jump on Zoom calls with you. But make sure those Zoom calls, make sure interviews you do, make sure whatever your outreach is isn't just to spend time and, hey, how's the weather in your area? No, like, have an agenda to your calls and say, here's what I do. What do you do? How can we share? Like, let's do this together. Who do you look for? Who's your ideal client? Get out there and look for them for them and do the same. Share back and forth. It works, folks. It works. It really does.
And the craziest thing, what people don't realize is that any real business person is willing to kick you back a commission, even if you're not expecting it. Mm-hmm. I'll randomly have $5,000 checks hit my bank account. I'm like, where did that come from? I reach out to the person and they're like, oh yeah, we just closed this like $50,000 retainer. Here's your 10% commission. I'm like, cool. I would kill for that when I was a Facebook agency. You kidding me?
That's so awesome.
That's the thing, is like, don't go in it with the idea of like, I have to make money from this. But if you come in with an attitude of collaboration, of relationships, I mean, it's gold. You'll see magic happen in your business.
Mm-hmm. It really does. Jake, welcome, man. And dude, glad you're checking it out. Yeah, Josh is the real deal. As always, I like to say this, Josh, speaking of commissions, there is no affiliate, no fees, no commissions, no structure between Josh and I. Everything in our platform here is 100% string attached free. We like free range interviews and free range friendships. So I have Josh here, as with all of our guests, because I truly believe Josh is the real thing. There's a lot of people who we could have on here that I just, Josh is the real one. So
appreciate you.
We haven't had another podcast person on the show. So this is really cool, man.
I'm the first. I'm so blessed.
You're the first. Yeah. John Lee Dumas has been like knocking at the door. I don't know. We just, don't leave it in.
He's want him in. We'll get him in. I know him. Rachel knows him too. Rachel will get you.
He was on my interview as well. He's such a approachable guy. Another great point there, though. John Lee Dumas charges people to get on his show because he has such a huge audience. But again, it goes back to that. Yeah, that would be super cool for everybody if they had it's got 1 million downloads an episode or something crazy like that.
Something absurd. That's a lot of download.
Yeah. But I bet that I've seen his numbers because he posts them online, and I don't think, honestly, folks, Josh's method makes more money than John Lee Dumas's method. That's not anti-John Lee Dumas method approach. I'm just saying what Josh is doing makes more money than the other approaches of monetizing a podcast with sponsorships or or fees. Just a thought.
Just a thought.
If you're doing podcasting to make a living, then yeah, just a thought. Not that John's hurting any. He's doing just fine, I think.
He's $2 million a year is kind of painful.
It's all right. Yeah.
That's all right.
All right, kids. Great to see everybody. Josh, thanks again, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for getting me in.
Yeah, it's great talk. All right, y'all have a great week, and we'll talk again in a couple days. Bye, guys.